I've got a Walkman that plays something different every time someone uses it. I wish I never knew why. I never imagined that one sentence could terrify me so much. I'm sitting in my living room shaking and listening to the tape on my Walkman over and over again. I don't understand what's going on. Maybe you can help me. It all started last night, when I was spending the evening with some friends. There was Sam, a childhood friend, and his girlfriend Olivia. Cedric, a friend I'd made at work who, despite his shyness at parties like this, was very smart. And finally Brad and Mia, a couple of friends I'd known for years, who'd already started arguing on the road, considering the look on their faces when they arrived, and didn't seem to want to discuss it. "Wait, what's this?" said Sam, pointing to the Walkman on one of my shelves. He stood up and grabbed it. "A Walkman? Are you serious? I didn't know you'd become a hipster," he said, laughing. "It's nothing, just a cool thing I bought a few days ago at a flea market. I've linked it to these speakers. But forget it, it doesn't work anyway." "Really?" And with that, he pressed the play button. I already knew what we were going to hear. At least, that's what I thought at the time. "Tell me baby why don't love me, tell me baby." Wow, that's incredible. I didn't know you could record recent music with that. "I've been listening to this music on a loop for days," said Sam enthusiastically. I was speechless. I'd been trying to fix this Walkman since the day I bought it. It already had a cassette inside when I bought it, and for some reason, no other audio cassette would work. And even the original cassette that worked a little bit only repeated the same thing over and over. Too bad. I wish we could have a little more fun together. I asked Sam to give me back the Walkman so I could have a look at it. Maybe he'd pressed something unintentionally and it had fixed it. I rewound the tape to the beginning and pressed play. "Too bad. I wish we could have a little more fun together," said the charming voice of a man. "Well, it looks like you've got an admirer." Olivia teased me. I explained that since I bought it, the only original cassette that worked had been repeating that same phrase over and over again, and that this was the first time I'd heard this song from it. "Weird," Olivia admitted. She picked up the Walkman and tried to press play herself. "Tell me baby why don't love me, tell me baby." I took it back, rewound the tape and pressed play. The same smooth voice repeated the phrase I'd always heard. "Cedric, you know a thing or two about electronics, couldn't you take a look?" I handed him the Walkman. He looked at it from every angle, puzzled but still trying to come up with some kind of explanation. He finally pressed play in turn. "I love you," said an old woman's voice. "Wow, it's getting hotter and hotter," joked Olivia. The three of us took turns picking up the Walkman, and inexplicably, the cassette played something different, but still the same for each person, for all of us. Apart from Olivia and Sam, who were hearing the same music. After a while, even Olivia started to feel uncomfortable. Sam thought I was playing a joke on them, but it wasn't hard to demonstrate that no trickery was possible, especially with a retro device like that. Brad and Mia, who had remained silent all evening, apart from a few murderous glances exchanged between them, had started to take an interest in the discussion. "Would you like to try it?" I offered, Walkman in hand. Brad took the Walkman. We had all moved forward in our seats, curious to hear what was about to happen. After a brief glance at us, he pressed play. "You fucking cheater." After recoiling from the tenfold increase in volume, we all slowly turned our heads towards Mia, who was standing right next to Brad. It was her voice we'd just heard screaming. "What the fuck is this shit? Where did you buy it? Seriously, you've been fucking with us since the beginning of this evening, I'm sure." "How did you do that? Did you use some software on your computer?" spouted Mia, in a rage. I didn't know what to say. I was as helpless as she was to explain why we'd just heard her screaming as he played the tape. She snatched it out of Brad's hands and pressed play. Her enraged voice came out of the speakers again. Her face went white. "Okay, I've had enough of this bullshit, let's get out of here." After that, Brad and Mia left. I couldn't do anything but apologize to Brad for the way the evening had turned out. I put the Walkman away and had a few beers with Sam, Olivia, and Cedric, who had stayed. But clearly, the evening had taken a turn for the worse. We were all puzzled and still stuck on what we'd heard. "Maybe it's the future we're hearing," Sam said. "I mean, considering how often they bicker, it wouldn't surprise me if that's the case for them," Olivia added. "If it's the future, I don't know which one. Because it definitely wasn't my grandmother's voice I heard," said Cedric. There was silence. After a moment everyone stood up, bringing a premature end to the evening that had definitely not gone as I had planned. I invited Sam and Olivia to sleep over, knowing they had some driving to do, but as usual they declined. I told them to be careful, then waved goodbye to Cedric, who still seemed lost in thought. That night I fell asleep with an uneasy feeling, and the certainty that I'd better throw away the Walkman first thing in the morning, and forget the whole thing. When I woke up, I fumbled for my cell phone on my bedside table, but couldn't find it. I found it forgotten on the living room table, and saw that I'd received dozens of texts and calls during the night. I couldn't make any sense of them. A voicemail had been left by a number I didn't have in my contacts. "This is Sam's mom. I can't reach you. Sam and Olivia were in a terrible car accident last night. They didn't make it." I stared at the wall in front of me, incredulous, as Sam's mom sobbed into the recording. She was clearly having a breakdown. There was nothing left of the car. A truck ran a red light apparently. There was only the car radio that kept repeating the same music over and over. I could hear it in the background when the ambulance was there. And the words she uttered next made my blood run cold. "Tell me baby why don't love me, tell me baby." I threw my cell phone on the floor. It was too obvious to be a coincidence. I'd already started to have doubts when I'd heard Mia's voice screaming with such rage. A murderous rage. I've been pressing play and rewinding the tape for hours. Too bad. I wish we could have a little more fun together. And every time I hear this phrase, I feel as if the suave voice of this man I don't know is becoming more and more malevolent.